Tonight, indoor masks likely to return as shock new modelling predicts Australia could hit 200,000 cases a day. National Cabinet considers fast-tracking booster shots for more Victorians. The late-night rescue of a couple stuck on a ledge in Werribee Gorge. A mother facing Christmas without her children after they were killed in a plane crash. Collingwood stars lend a hand to spread cheer across Melbourne. And cricketers arrive in town looking to lock in an Ashes series victory at the MCG.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Mike Amor starts now.
Good evening. Mask rules could be tightened before Christmas as the Omicron threat grows. But the MCG will still host 80,000 fans for the Boxing Day test. Other states are seeing record COVID numbers, and new modelling shows without a return of restrictions, cases will explode.
A city on edge. Testing sites are overwhelmed 4 days out from Christmas, and a decision on mask mandates is imminent.
Mask wearing is a pretty common sense, prudent thing to do. And that's the advice from the CMO. We'll take that latest advice on board, and when we can make any further announcements, we will.
The race is on to curb the spread of Omicron, but the state government says the festive season will remain restriction-free, except for one rule under consideration.
No cap at the Boxing Day test, no cap for visitors at home to celebrate Christmas and New Year, but we are looking at and we'll take the latest public health advice about what are some prudent common sense changes that we can make.
So crowds can stay at capacity at the MCG, but the real test for fans may be the requirement for face coverings to sit in the stands.
It can be inconvenient, but it's a small inconvenience for a very significant public health benefit.
The only reason the government is considering this is because our health system isn't up to scratch.
The nation's chief medical officer and medical body both calling for a return of masks indoors to help limit outbreaks of the new variant.
They will not destroy the economy, they will not destroy people's Christmases, and they can keep a little bit of a handbrake on Omicron.
Prime Minister Scott Morrison says it's time to ditch the heavy-handed approach of imposing mandates.
Australians don't have to be told by governments how to live.
And there's debate among health experts about whether we need the extra layer of protection.
Look at the places where most of the spread is occurring. It's bars, pubs, crowded indoor venues where, because people are eating and drinking, they won't have masks on anyway. So I think there'll be less impact from masks than what people generally think.
Victoria recorded another steady day of more than 1,200 cases and 6 deaths. No new Omicron infections leaves a total of 37 in the state. But the latest variant continues to spike in New South Wales. Daily cases now above 3,000.
OK, 3,000 is a big number, but Omicron is probably less virulent. That is, it's less likely to hospitalise you or kill you.
Around the rest of the country, South Australia recorded 154 infections, and interstate arrivals from New South Wales and Victoria no longer need to test on day one if they don't have symptoms. 86 cases in Queensland where travellers must test on day 5. The ACT has 16 positive residents and Tasmania just 4, but masks must be worn indoors in both states. These travel requirements placing a strain on our stretched testing sites. Melbourne Town Hall opened its doors today to help ease the load and was quickly overrun by the surge seen across the city.
We've expanded capacity by 55% in response to that. We've opened a few new centres today. We've expanded hours.
And Jade Vincent joins us live. And Jade, decisions will be made based on some worrying new modelling that's been done by the Doherty Institute.
Yes, Mike, this new modelling predicts that cases across the country could hit 200,000 a day if low to medium level restrictions like density limits or visitor limits aren't reintroduced. All state and territory leaders will be discussing this latest information at National Cabinet tomorrow afternoon, and we will have to wait until after that meeting concludes to find out whether we will face any further rule changes ahead of Christmas. Mike?
Jade, thank you. The timeline for booster shots is also on the table at National Cabinet. Christy Cooper joins us now, and more Victorians could soon be eligible for a third shot.
Mike, 7 News understands both state and federal leaders now want the interval between boosters to be shortened to bring it in line with other countries around the world. They'll be discussing that at the emergency cabinet meeting tomorrow and putting the pressure on ATAGI to shorten the interval to just 3 months after the second dose. At the Vic markets, shoppers and traders ticked another Christmas job off their lists, booster shots, anxious to get it done before travel and family gatherings.
I ran up here, so it was a relief.
Coming to Christmas, my family and friends were just really concerned that this virus is spreading too fast and that we could do whatever we could do to get our boosters.
Reports at the moment that Christmas may be a super spreader event. I thought, great, I'm out, I'm going to get my booster shot.
Australians over 18 who received their second dose 5 months ago are currently eligible for a booster. They can have either Pfizer or Moderna regardless of what vaccines they had earlier this year. The Health Minister keen to get boosters in the arms of more Victorians more quickly.
Whatever works, whether it's 4 months or 3 months, the sooner we make that decision, the better.
As National Cabinet discusses the changes, rules have already been relaxed for Victorians who'll become eligible over the Christmas and New Year period. They can now get theirs early.
I'm going overseas on the 27th of December. I'm off to America. So yeah, I'm a month early, but I was given special dispensation.
Around the world, an increasing number of countries are shortening the interval. The UK, South Korea and Thailand have approved boosters from 3 months. Belgium and New Zealand have lowered it to 4, while France, Singapore, Taiwan and Italy have shortened the wait time to 5 months. ATAGI already says it's safe from 2 months, but the balance is finding the optimum interval to maximise coverage and making sure we have the supply and resources to deliver them.
We're slammed. All the appointments till the end of the year are pretty much taken. We've got to remember we are in the holiday season, so the health professionals doing the vaccines are in short supply.
So walk-in clinics like this one are providing relief.
Come along to one of our pop-up clinics here at the Vic Market. We're also at High Point as well. It's really easy, it's really convenient while you're out doing your Christmas shopping. Come along and get your booster.
Christy Cooper, 7 News.
To breaking news, and at least 10 AFL stars have been struck down with COVID. Mitch Cleary has the exclusive details, and Mitch, it could force a rethink at league headquarters.
Mike, the Sydney Swans are tonight scrambling with a major COVID outbreak sweeping through their playing group. More than 10 players testing positive in recent days. New South Wales today confirming a record 3,000 cases. Swans players enjoyed a boat cruise late last week as they finished pre-Christmas training. All players are vaccinated, but it will provide a setback to their New Year return. This latest example, just the biggest outbreak at an AFL club yet, and likely to give the AFL consideration to their 2022 COVID plans after declaring in recent weeks they would try and push on amid outbreaks. Mike?
Mitch Cleary with that breaking news. Thank you. The police air wing has come to the aid of 5 thrill seekers in 2 rescue missions. 3 children were winched to safety from the water in Glen Maggie before a stranded couple was plucked from a ledge at Werribee Gorge.
Trapped on the edge of a 150-metre cliff top. A delicate rescue operation unfolds to save 2 hikers at the Werribee Gorge. Air wing specialists winched the first hiker to safety, making sure she's okay, before rescuing her male friend. Both hikers escaped with no injuries. The terrain is rough and at times extremely dangerous, only 30 centimetres wide with crumbling edges, taking police almost 2 hours to rescue the pair. Around 4 hours earlier and 280 kilometres away, the air wing was called to rescue 3 children caught on a rock at McAllister River in Glen Maggie.
And they swam to shore for their own safety. Unfortunately, they swam to the incorrect side of the river.
The children were able to alert their parents, who called 000, but the area was too remote for local emergency crews.
We landed in the area and were able to just put the 3 children onto the aircraft and return them to the parents.
A message to Victorians this summer.
When you're out on the water or in the water or you're out hiking, to make sure you've got the correct equipment with you and you don't exceed your own abilities.
Cassie Zervos, 7 News.
More than $1 million worth of silver bullion has gone missing from a truck travelling from Sydney to Melbourne. Crime reporter Cameron Bowe joins us. And Cam, police are investigating if this is an inside job.
Mike, there's a number of circumstances that don't add up, mainly how nearly a tonne of silver can vanish. The truck left Sydney for Melbourne late last month. It took 3 days for it to get here. When it arrived, it was discovered that the entire load of $1 million worth of silver bullion was missing. Now, the decision to use a truck and trailer rather than an armoured vehicle is being scrutinised. The truck driver has spoken to police as part of the investigation.
Certainly a line of inquiry that we're looking at is people have inside knowledge as to this consignment of silver and it being transported between Sydney and Melbourne. That's certainly a line of inquiry that we're looking at.
And it is understood that the silver bullion was taken from the truck not long after it left Sydney, Mike.
Cam Bowe, thank you. Tech giants risk huge fines if they fail to ban harmful online content under new laws from next month. As complaints soar, Australia's e-safety commissioner is being given new powers to tackle material, including terrorism and child abuse, on search engines like Google. They could be fined more than $500,000 per breach. The new laws will also apply to apps on mobile phones. A grieving mother has revealed she found out her 2 children had been killed in a plane crash while she wrapped their Christmas presents. Siblings Lucas and Lavinia were passengers on a joy flight with their father when the aircraft hit water.
Toy cars on the living room floor and presents under the tree. Catherine de Blasio's home is filled with reminders of her 2 children.
So Betty got a better mother.
When you say bye to them, that morning, gave them a kiss, I said, have a lovely day, love you. You never think that that will be the last time you see them.
On Sunday morning, when Lucas, Lavinia and their father Chris went on a surprise joy flight for Lucas's 9th birthday.
I said, love you, have a good day, have fun. And Lucas turned back and said, love you too, Mom, bye.
Catherine was still wrapping presents when she realised they were late. Then came a knock on the door.
Instead of seeing my kids, I saw 3 detectives. And for about 15 minutes, I had no reaction. I just couldn't believe it.
Catherine and the Meccano family, along with the family of pilot Robert Watterson, may have to wait up to 2 months to get answers as to why the plane crashed shortly after takeoff on Sunday morning. Until then, Catherine is left with memories of her bright little boy Lucas.
He was very caring, very energetic, competitive, with his mates. He loved playing soccer.
While Lavinia managed to always make everyone laugh.
How much money does Jada have? Jada broke.
Our Facebook page has details of a GoFundMe to help raise money for funeral costs. Elliot Chipper, 7 News.
2 of Melbourne's most experienced charity leaders say 2021 has been the worst year in memory for our disadvantaged. But both Brendan Nottle of the Salvos and youth worker Les Twentyman today tried to brighten up Christmas with a little help from their friends.
They're used to accumulating possessions.
All right, here we go.
And wrapping up opponents.
How's that? Next.
But for star Magpie footballers and netballers, packing and wrapping for the homeless and disadvantaged, a real eye-opener.
Really important for us to use our platform to promote good in the community.
To be able to give back today is just really nice. It feels really special.
These care parcels and gifts will make Christmas for those at Saturday's festive brunch because of COVID, now takeaway at Salvo's headquarters.
It makes me feel wonderful just to know that the Collingwood boys and the girls are chipping in and helping out.
Oh yeah, it makes me smile. Yeah.
And never needed more.
All of this, the pandemic and all of the confusion associated with it has just completely got on top of people.
And firefighters showered the Les Twentyman Foundation Christmas party with donated gifts. For families struggling to cope with COVID, the sweet sound of Chrissy Chaos.
Pencils and some sharpeners. Oh, permanent markers!
These sort of events puts joy into their lives.
This is one of the great days that make it worthwhile being a firefighter.
Scenes of joy today, but an emotional warning from these two charity icons. They've never seen it worse.
You know, it's been really tough. You know, I think just making sure that we're making ends meet for people, but then making sure that people know they're not forgotten.
Nick McCallum, 7 News.
The Ashes Roadshow has arrived here in Melbourne, but Andrew McCormack, a handful of stars are walking a COVID tightrope.
Yeah, that's right, Mike. The Aussies and England are under strict new protocols. Laura Spurway is live at the team hotel in the city. And Laura, not all players are here in Melbourne.
That's right, Mac, and most have come here, but some have elected to travel home for the rest days, including Steve Smith, Nathan Lyon and Mitchell Starc. Now, that's to Sydney. That has caused some concerns, that decision, given the rising case numbers there, the risk of possible COVID exposure, and also, of course, it's off the back of the Pat Cummins incident in Adelaide. But the Cricket Australia CEO, well, he says that the players need some freedom.
We want people to have a really good quality of life. We don't want to lock them up, but equally we need to be sensible to make sure that we're not getting caught up and that everyone stays safe.
Safety measures here include dining and gathering restrictions for players. We've already seen that be a bit inconvenient for David Warner, who's tweeted from his hotel room that his Uber Eats delivery order hasn't arrived. But ahead in sport, Macca will have all the details on the pressing selection dilemma facing the Aussies.
Thanks very much, Laura Spurway there. And coming up in sport as well, a COVID shock for Rafael Nadal, Mike. What that means for his Australian Open hopes, that's shortly.
OK, thanks, Macca. The troubled Docklands observation wheel could soon be spinning again in a new location. The bold plan to make it the star of the Yarra, next on 7 News. Also, highway chaos as a truck collides with a military convoy. The astonishing moment, 2 babies were found alive in a tornado. The easy way to encourage young men to make wise decisions when drinking. And later, goodbye Emma, as she puts on the yellow skivvy for one last time. A woman in her 80s has been cut from her car after a 2-vehicle collision in Fawkner. Police suspect one of the cars rear-ended the other, pushing it into a garden wall.
It took the rescue crew about 5 minutes to get her out the vehicle. The husband, who was driving the vehicle at the time, is fine. He's suffered no injuries.
The elderly woman was taken to hospital but doesn't have life-threatening injuries. The Docklands wheel could be spinning to a new location in the city under a very ambitious and expensive plan. The Andrews government says it welcomes any idea to revitalise the CBD.
These 2 Melbourne attractions could trade places in an optimistic plan to help spark the city back to life.
You've got the London Eye, which is on the Thames and is London's #1 tourist attraction. Why not try something to get better patronage of the wheel?
The designers of Fed Square want the failed Melbourne Star moved to the banks of the Yarra and the aquarium to head to Docklands.
I think, maybe it's one fish at a time, I'm not sure.
Look, I think it's probably actually a really good idea because this is such a great area, but not many people are visiting it.
It would be a shame to see the aquarium moving further away.
The proposal would cost hundreds of millions of dollars and need funding from all levels of government.
There's always the next big idea about how we can make Melbourne even more wonderful, and we welcome that public debate.
There are also plans to create a park area the size of Flagstaff Gardens, complementing the $300 million Green Line project.
Our next stages are to go into detailed planning, so this comes at a very good time.
The idea centres around giving the northern bank of the Yarra River a long overdue facelift. A critical part of the plan would include burying the rail yards between Southern Cross and Flinders Street stations.
So that people can enjoy something that is, at the moment, frankly, it's quite unloved and an unattractive part of Melbourne.
Ashley Kanowski, 7 News.
The death toll from a typhoon in the Philippines has surged to more than 370. Super Typhoon Rai hit the country's southeast, packing wind gusts of nearly 200 kilometres an hour. The storm has decimated communities, knocking out power to entire islands. More than 300,000 people have been evacuated from their homes. There's been a major crash on a highway in southern Germany, a truck slamming into a US military convoy, including 2 fuel tankers. Several people in the truck were injured, while 8 American soldiers were taken to hospital. The truck's load of wood chips caught fire, crews taking several hours to extinguish the blaze. A remarkable survival story involving 2 baby boys has emerged from America's recent tornado disaster. A grandmother found her 2 grandsons in an upturned bathtub in her garden after a storm tore their house apart.
Missing.
Yeah, if you can hear me.
In the dizzying minutes.
We're looking for a 15 months old.
After this month's tornado pounded Barnsley, Kentucky.
In the bathtub.
2 babies, one 15 months old.
Hey, baby.
His brother, 3 months.
Hey, baby.
Hey, oh my God. Oh,
Rescuers pulled the brothers from a broken bathtub.
Got 2 infant kids. Got them out of a bathtub.
The same tub their grandmother had laid them in with a Bible as her house began to shudder.
Next thing I knew, the tub had lifted and it was out of my hands. I couldn't hold on. Oh my God.
The storm took the house, the bathtub, the children.
I was looking everywhere to see where the tub may be. I had no clue at all where these babies was. All I could say is, Lord, please bring my babies back to me safely.
Both of them are okay, man.
Praise God, Lord Jesus. I love you. Oh, thank you, Jesus.
One hammered home in a storm path stretched across 5 states.
This is my bathroom. This is where the tub was.
The current death toll, 91. It so nearly included these 2.
But I just thank God that everybody was safe.
Unaware just yet how special they are. Hell threw its worst at them, and they rode through it in a bathtub. In the United States, Tim Lester, 7 News.
The parents of coward punch victim Pat Cronin have launched a new smartphone app aimed at preventing violence at sporting events and nightclubs. It uses geolocation technology to send reminder messages to phones when they're arriving at a venue like the MCG.
Hopefully it'll be that little tap on the shoulder almost to say, just remember, make wise decisions while you're out.
The free Be Wise app has tips on handling conflict, what to do in an emergency, and advice on anger management. Sonia Marinelli joins us now, and Sonia, one Australian town just hit a temperature record for the year.
That's right, Mike. A pool of extreme heat over northern Australia right now. And Marty in WA's Pilbara district clocked 47.9 degrees yesterday. That is the hottest it's been anywhere in the southern hemisphere this year. Now that heat moves over the weekend and will deliver Perth a scorching 42-degree Christmas Day, while the east coast is warm with showers. There's no holiday heatwave for us, just a pleasant Christmas day on the way. I'll have the details after sport, Mike.
47.9 might be a bit hot. Thanks, Sonia. Interstate travel uncertainty is making a Victorian holiday more expensive than ever. The high cost of holidaying on the Mornington Peninsula next on 7 News. The rock star left bloodied and bruised from a weekend booze cruise with Sam Newman. Pay attention, the pictures that rail bosses want every commuter to see. And the big change in exercise advice for recovering heart patients. A day out on Sam Newman's yacht has left rock star Brian Mannix bruised and bloody. Also on board for the Christmas booze cruise, footy star Warwick Capper, former player agent Ricky Nixon and aerobics champion Sue Stanley.
Everybody wants to work. No, no, not me. Everybody wants to work. No, no, not me.
The Uncanny X-Men singer insists he wasn't drunk, it just got really rocky. There's been a sudden surge in tumbles at our train stations. As lockdown lifted, there were 22 slips, trips and falls reported in October, and that increased to 35 incidents in November. Metro Trains is reminding passengers to use their instincts and be aware of their surroundings while using escalators, stairs and platforms. Holiday-hungry Melburnians are paying a high price for a summer getaway in coastal Victoria. Demand for rental properties is surging as border jitters force a rethink on travel plans.
Holidaying at home this summer won't come cheap.
If demand outweighs supply, then naturally that's going to happen. We're also seeing with the shortage of a workforce, we're seeing an undercurrent of potential inflation, and that's being passed on.
The demand across the Mornington Peninsula up 161% this week compared to the same time last year.
Pretty much as soon as the lockdowns ended, the phones started ringing.
There are around 25,000 rental homes across the Shire.
We're also seeing a lot of homeowners who would normally rent out their holiday homes over this time. They're choosing to experience it themselves.
It's the same on the Great Ocean Road, while in Phillip Island you'll struggle to secure accommodation for the next month.
Right at the very end of January, there's a few odd bookings, but the calls, the emails, the texts just keep coming through every day for people trying to find somewhere to stay.
The latest research shows 8 in 10 Victorians are planning to holiday in their home state this summer because of a lack of confidence about interstate and international borders.
The decision to come down here was a lot easier than having to consider all the issues around travelling interstate or overseas at the moment.
We've heard a lot of people actually even recently who were booking a Gold Coast holiday, but then they've just changed their mind and thought, no, we'll stick with Victoria.
The advice for Victorians desperate for a well-deserved getaway:
pick up the phone and ring operators. Don't just use the traditional distribution platforms like booking.com or What If, because there's only limited supply on those platforms.
Sarah Jones, 7 News.
The Queen has cancelled her traditional Christmas at Sandringham as COVID cases rise in the UK. Harsher restrictions could be reintroduced before the weekend, but Prime Minister Boris Johnson is waiting for more data on Omicron.
Britain's free to carry on with Christmas plans for now. Boris Johnson held an urgent cabinet meeting to discuss new COVID restrictions. But despite another huge day of cases, 91,000, he refused to outline if and when new rules will be brought in, wanting to wait for more Omicron data.
In view of the balance of risks and uncertainty, unfortunately I must say to people we will have to reserve the possibility of taking further action.
What we want, what the public want, is a Prime Minister with a plan and with a grip.
At Downing Street, more awkward accusations. The Prime Minister insists the garden drinks snapped here during May's lockdown were within the rules.
Those were people at work talking about work.
Willing to make a decision, the Queen has cancelled her traditional trip to Sandringham, deciding to spend Christmas at Windsor Castle instead for the second year in a row.
Well, she can see what is happening all around her. She can see what's happening in the country. We're told the Queen will still get some family members seeing her at Windsor Castle. We're not told which members or where they will be.
Whether Britons need to change their guest lists, that's yet to be decided. In London, Tegan Dolling, 7 News.
Fast-moving firefighters have worked to bring a blaze under control at a home in Ringwood East. 25 fireys were called to the Lewis Street property around 1 o'clock this afternoon. They had the fire under control within 20 minutes. Police are on the scene to determine the cause. Just 6 days after 6 children were killed in Tasmania, another 6 were injured in China when their inflatable castle flipped in strong winds. Adults are seen trying in vain to pin it down before it eventually settled. In this case, the jumping castle appears to have been set up in an open area, untethered. Donald Trump has been heckled by a crowd in Texas after revealing he's received a COVID booster shot.
Both the president and I are vaxxed, and did you get the booster?
Yes.
I got it too. Okay, so...
No. That's all. There's a very tiny group over there.
Trump is touring America with ex-Fox News host Bill O'Reilly. Open heart surgery patients are being encouraged to undertake light exercise just 2 weeks after their operation. Melbourne researchers say their trial could be a game changer for how quickly patients can recover and get their lives back to normal.
Jeff Barker had open heart surgery, but instead of taking it easy, he hit the gym.
You've had heart surgery, you've got a new engine, it's really important to start using it.
A Melbourne research team is proving heart surgery rehab needs a rethink.
It's just been the standard thinking that you shouldn't do much with your arms because you might move the sternum too much and that impairs healing. What we've shown, in fact, that doesn't occur.
In fact, the resistance training program has even fast-tracked recovery.
Their cognition came back earlier, so they could partake in family events, they could go back to work, they could drive earlier because they could have an earlier start to exercise.
Jeff completed 2 sessions a week with an ultrasound zeroed in on his sternum.
There's no movement occurring through the bone there, which means that it's healed up nicely after your surgery.
To get a better idea of just how incredible Jeff's recovery is, we were invited into the theatre room to see how much open heart surgery patients go through.
We're going to do coronary bypass surgery and an aortic valve replacement, so it's quite a big operation, kind of 2 into 1.
This sort of surgery is no easy feat. Usually it takes between 3 to 4 hours to complete, so it's no surprise it takes a big toll on the body, and often patients are on light duties for up to 12 weeks. But because of this research, some are back into the gym after just 2.
Maybe exercise is the new wonder drug for patients, particularly in recovering from major surgery.
Nathan Curry, 7 News.
Victoria is fast becoming the most expensive place in Australia to build a new home. Next, why costs are skyrocketing, sending some builders broke. Also, testing your loyalty, what to know about handing over your personal data. Why drinking alcohol increases your chance of skin cancer. And a final farewell to Emma Wiggle, hanging up the yellow skivvy forever. It's feared more builders will go broke because of soaring costs. The price of building a home in Victoria is rising faster than in any other state. Master Builders Victoria says it's because of escalating product prices and supply shortages. Builders with locked-in contracts can end up losing money because completing the works becomes more expensive than expected. Timber prices have risen 30% this year. Steel has increased by 25%. Fires broken out in the ceiling space of a Greensboro property. More than 20 firefighters descended on the William Street home just after 2 o'clock to find smoke billowing from the roof. It was brought under control in about 9 minutes. The Slip, Slop, Slap jingle is getting a reboot in a bid to prevent the most common cancer in the country. The Sun Safety campaign comes as researchers make a concerning discovery.
An Aussie anthem in the 80s. Sid the Seagull helped teach millions of children about sun safety, soon to be succeeded by Jimmy and Fido. They'll feature in ads rolling out this summer as part of a new $20 million SunSmart campaign.
We're here today with a very simple message as we go into this summer period. To slip, slop, slap, seek and slide.
Seek shade and slide on sunnies. Melanoma rates are falling in Australians under 40, but a recent Cancer Council survey found more than a quarter of Australians don't use skin protection in summer as part of their daily routine.
So normally I put sunscreen on my face. Not so good about the rest of my body.
If you don't have your hat, you just have to sit in the shade.
Yeah. Every time the UV index is 3 or above in your local area, we encourage all Australians to slip, slop, slap, seek and slide.
Today in most capital cities, the maximum was 11 or 12.
So you have to put on lots of sunscreen today.
The new campaign comes as new research shows drinking alcohol accelerates sunburn and people who drink are more prone to skin cancer.
Tattoos also posing an additional risk.
2 in 3 Australians will be touched by skin cancer by the time they're 70.
And prevention is better than a cure. Rosanna Kingson, 7 News.
Victorians are being urged to resist the temptation to sign up to new loyalty schemes over the holidays. 90% of Australians belong to at least one loyalty program, but Choice says many customers don't realise their personal data is shared with insurance companies or data brokers. Checking finance now, the ASX 200 closed 63 points higher at 7,355. Travel stocks soared today despite climbing COVID-19 cases in the new Omicron variant, thanks to the Prime Minister's promise he won't enforce lockdowns in Australia. Our dollar is buying just over 71 US cents. Yellow Wiggle Emma is hanging up her skivvy after 10 years in the band. She made history as the first female member, and today her devoted fans had one last chance to meet their idol.
It's not quite the goodbye anyone imagined. At Auburn Harvey Norman, Emma Watkins wore her yellow skivvy and bow for the final time.
It is bittersweet. I've had a few tears over the last week.
For her biggest fans, saying farewell was tough. There were more tears. Others lost for words.
Are you excited to see Emma?
But most just wanted to wiggle. And after the big meeting, there was only one word to sum it up.
Portia, how was it?
Good.
Older fans also got a chance to say thanks for the past 11 years entertaining and educating children.
Emma, you have been such an inspiration to us. The Wiggles is the soundtrack of our life at the moment. It's on pretty much 24/7.
It's a momentous day and I'm so grateful to be a part of it.
For any fans who missed this final meet and greet, Emma says they can write her a letter to say a final goodbye, and she'll even write back.
Emma will now focus on her PhD, working on bringing together dance and sign language.
I have an extension to try and finish it over next year, and then who knows what's going to happen after that research.
But there's one more special performance she filmed earlier this week. Carols in the Domain, Thursday night on 7.
It's probably the most amount of Wiggles we've had on stage ever, so please enjoy.
A final curtain call on a colourful Wiggles career. Georgia Holland, 7 News.
Wiggling in with sport now with Andrew McCormack and Macca. There's concern for the Aussie bowling stocks.
Well, Monk, they did the damage in Adelaide, but there's changes looming for Boxing Day as Steve Smith offers some words of wisdom for struggling English skipper Joe Root. Plus, the Magpies wrapping their arms around Jordan De Goey. We speak exclusively to Vice-Captain Taylor Adams. Why Rafa Nadal is in serious doubt for the Australian Open, and Josh Giddey reaches new heights in the NBA. Welcome back. Australia has called in extra bowling firepower with Josh Hazlewood in doubt for the Boxing Day test. It comes as Steve Smith went in to bat for Joe Root after the England captain came under fire for his tactics in Adelaide.
Arriving in Melbourne to tougher protocols, both teams shared a charter flight and now a hotel, but not the momentum.
We'd love to wrap it up in Melbourne, but like I said, we're going to have to play really good cricket to do so.
A 2-0 series lead, Jai Richardson wrapped up the test last night with a 5-wicket haul in the second innings.
It's a good ball, taken by Green.
More of a relief than anything, especially after the first innings, having a bit of a tough time of it.
But more intrigue around the bowling lineup. Scott Boland added to the Ashes squad amid injury concerns for Mitchell Starc, seen clutching his back during play yesterday, while Josh Hazlewood has no certainty to return from a side strain. Richardson could hold his spot, even with Pat Cummins coming back.
It's a wonderful problem for the selectors and JL to have. Whatever happens, happens. As long as we're winning, then that's all we can ask for.
Steve Smith happy to hand the reins back to Cummins for Boxing Day.
Yeah, I had fun out there, but you know, it's Paddy's team and I'm the vice captain and I'll help Patrick in any way that I can.
But did offer some comfort to Joe Root.
I guess the best advice I could say is just trust yourself, back yourself and do everything you can to help your team grow and be as successful as you can be.
The England captain now rallying his troops, gutted with the loss after Joss Butler staged a fight back lasting 207 balls.
It's hit the stumps. Butler is out in extraordinary manner.
We've got 3 games here, 3 massive games with the Ashes on the line now. And if that's not motivation enough to go out there and put performances in, then I don't know what is.
Laura Spurway, 7 News.
More firepower is returning for the Melbourne Stars with Joe Burns to make his debut in green. The former Aussie opener underwent minor knee surgery just 3 weeks ago and is happy to take a back seat in the Christmas Eve clash against the Hurricanes in Hobart.
The chance to play alongside some world-class players, it's really exciting. It's what drew me to the Stars, so I can't wait personally, and just to try and continue the momentum that the guys are starting to pick up.
Burns had his second session in the nets today since his injury. To footy, and Collingwood's likely next captain is backing Jordan De Goey to return to the club. The troubled Pie has been in exile for 2 months, awaiting a court verdict in New York.
On hand preparing Christmas gifts, Pies vice-captain Taylor Adams wants Jordan De Goey's assault saga patched up into the new year.
I've been speaking to Geordie quite a bit. We're all hoping to have this
this ordeal sorted out sooner rather than later.
Suspended indefinitely, De Goey is expected to learn his fate in a New York court on January 18. New President Jeff Brown indicating a favourable outcome would open up an immediate return.
We need to clear it up and we need to get on with it. And I don't want any of those lingering problems to be hanging about too long in our pre-season preparation.
Adams and senior Pies backing in their teammate in the hope of seeing him fire in 2022.
Geordie's got the full support of us and of the playing group and the leadership group in particular.
Adams enjoying a faultless pre-season in a bid to put persistent knee troubles behind him, ready to take the reins should skipper Scott Pendlebury follow through on his desire to finish his career out of the top seat.
Yeah, if the opportunity came my way, then of course I would love to represent the football club in that aspect.
The Pies to make a call early next year. Mitch Cleary, 7 News.
Tennis superstar Rafael Nadal has tested positive to COVID and is now in serious doubt for next month's Australian Open. Nadal has revealed he's having unpleasant moments with the virus as he recovers at home in Spain. It's looming as another major blow to Australian Open organisers, with Roger Federer and Serena Williams both skipping the tournament, and uncertainty over whether Novak Djokovic will take part. Melbourne Storm is determined not to let a turbulent off-season impact the team on field next year. Cameron Munster's missing from training with a baby due and time spent in rehab. Brandon Smith has defected to the Roosters. Harry Grant's linked to new franchise in Brisbane, and Felice Kafusi's already signed at the Dolphins for 2023.
Yeah, look, it's been tough, man. I can't remember a pre-season that's been pretty turbulent like that, but that's off-field stuff, and we've been ripping in.
Meantime, Nelson Asofa-Solomona is still unvaccinated and yet to rejoin his teammates at training. And Melbourne youngster Josh Giddey continues to shine for Oklahoma City in the NBA with a career-high 19 points and 11 assists in their three-point win over Memphis.
Giddey up, under and in. And Giddey was 16.
The teenager also became the first Thunder player in 12 years to record back-to-back games with 10 or more assists. Mike, he's not quite old enough to buy a beer in Oklahoma City, but he wouldn't have to if he went to a bar there, I think.
Sure. Thanks, Macca. Sonia is next with the forecast. And Sonia, the Christmas Day forecast must be firming up now.
That's right, Mike. We can plan with confidence to celebrate the holiday outdoors. The details next. Hello again. As promised, it was another delightful day. It's all thanks to a high-pressure system that's tracking south of the Bight, and it's directing some gorgeous weather over the state. Under blue skies this afternoon, the city rose to 24.9 degrees. We're holding close to that now. It is 21 outside. It's 19 in Werribee, 20 in Moorabbin, but still a warm 27 in Yarra Glen. A build-up of clouds over the southwest of the state delivered an early morning sprinkling of showers there, but it did dry up. Right now, we're enjoying a lovely evening across the state. Still warm and sunny in the north, mild and mostly sunny in the south. That high-pressure system south of the Bight keeps us in a southerly airflow, but more cloud will be dragged in tomorrow by a very weak cold front. In fact, it's just brushing southern Victoria. Won't deliver much in the way of meaningful rainfall. We're expecting the odd shower and some drizzle, mainly down along the coast and to the east of Melbourne. We're not feeling it here, but it is very hot to our north. In fact, there's that massive extreme heat that's pooling over northern Australia. For the areas shaded in brown, today the temperature exceeded 42 degrees. And there are similar areas of rain around the nation tomorrow, but dry and warm in Brisbane, Sydney and Canberra, cool and cloudy in Hobart. Back home, we'll be under a light to moderate southerly. You can see those clouds stretching right across the south. They could deliver some patchy morning showers before drying to a mostly sunny afternoon. Closer in, and we're mostly under cloud tomorrow, which could deliver a morning shower to the outer suburbs, but dry after that with lots of sunshine, a top of 21 for Melton. In the city tomorrow, we are starting on 15 degrees under grey skies. Then it is a high of 20. We'll get pops of sunshine through the afternoon. A warmer day on Thursday, 21 degrees. Then it is a perfect 25 for Christmas Eve. Then the big day arrives, 21 degrees and dry under a mix of sun and cloud. Boxing Day's looking good too, a top of 20. Then warming up as we head into the last week of the year. But how is that for timing, Mike? The holiday weather is absolutely fabulous.
If only we were on holidays to enjoy it, Sonia.
That's true.
OK, thank you. Let's take a look at what's on Sunrise tomorrow.
Thanks, Mike. Tomorrow on Sunrise, staying healthy during the holidays. Christmas feasts that won't ruin your diet.
We have it covered from naughty to nice, the food swaps to slash calories.
See you in the morning, Melbourne.
And that's 7 News for this Tuesday. The Big Bash is coming up next. For now, from the 7 News team, have a great night.